On just about any pathway, any journey that you might be taking towards a destination, you might get the feeling like you might need a restart. That it might just be a time to ask for a do-over, maybe. Hopefully, you've taken the time at a checkpoint to sort of understand where you're at and you're not just doing it based on emotion. So, we're going to talk about pathway restarts, what it means, and more on episode 777 of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Happy Monday.
You went back to it.
I kind of was caught in between. You
just didn't know what to do.
I didn't. I was having some technical difficulties with the operational things, but hey, I want to get my celebration out real early because I'm afraid it'll come to an end. I think I actually have good lighting today on me. This is rare. This has not happened since I've been in the new bunker. So we're talking since August. Is that right? Yeah. So almost 6 months. And the best part of it is I'm not doing anything differently. I've done restarts. I've done course adjustments. I pivoted. Today I just winged it. And here it is. You can actually see me. Maybe it's the shirt. Maybe it's the Studley shirt with the little horse. Really going all out today.
Look at you, Polo.
Yeah, look at me, Polo. That was the name. I couldn't remember it.
Interesting. All right. For those of you who may be brand new to us, this is today's Antidote. And typically Bob has a little dance, jig, gyration, something he does at the beginning. And he was talking about changing it. And so he went back to it, just so you have a little context. What was going on beforehand. Yes. And shortly we will begin our conversation around a topic, which we have every week. That's what today's Antidote is all about. To talk through some of the challenges and opportunities that you might face along your own unique pathway to success. And as we dive into that conversation, as I mentioned, our topic this week is about pathway restart. And a little context to that as well. All since the start of the year, calendar year, we've been talking about your pathway and all the various parts of consideration as you try to create your pathway and then achieve the destination that you desire. So you might want to go back and listen to some of those episodes to have an understanding of all that goes into this. Many of it, some of the destinations we have, we process like that. Others, sometimes it takes a while to lay out and give some understanding to where you want to go and why you want to get there. And how do you not let judgment, frustration, and overwhelm take over? So we're going to dive in today and talk about a pathway restart and really sort of try to clarify what it means. Because it could mean a lot of different things. And as we go through that conversation, we welcome your thoughts and ideas because we know it'll add value to the show. And then at the conclusion of our conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote. That thing that we hope, if you happen to be stuck, frustrated, overwhelmed, uncertain about whether you should restart or not, hopefully this will provide some insight, some value, and to help you figure out how to take your next step. And of course, if you have a one thing to share, please feel free to share it. Because someone out there might be desperately looking for what you have to say, the value you have to share. And wouldn't it be unfortunate if you didn't share it and they missed out? So we welcome your comments throughout this broadcast. As Bob sort of jumped the gun and started with his celebration, before we dive into our conversation, each morning we do our celebrations. Bob, anything else you want to add about your lighting that was really a conversation around judgment?
No, since I jumped into that, I'll give another celebration. It is President's Day. It's a holiday for lots of people. I spend a fair amount of time with a teacher, an elementary school teacher, and I know she was looking forward to having a day off in February. And I know this is kind of a difficult situation because for the parents, they're going, oh, I've got to find childcare. I have to take off work, or I have to deal with the logistics of kids being home. But I can tell you, for the teachers, this is a huge, huge day just to get a breather, because they've been going, for the most part, since Christmas, and they won't get a break until Easter. This is the long window in teaching. And we haven't had snow in the Baltimore, Washington area. So they haven't had the unexpected day off, but it's not really a day off because now they have to do virtual learning. So this is like a legit day off. So I hope that she and the other teachers enjoy this day.
And bankers and other people who are
bankers, postal workers,
government employees, basically in general.
Government employees, yeah, librarians.
Bankers fall into that list of. Otherwise, most of the people who get these federal holidays off are government employees.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting how bankers fall into that.
Well, I think because banks are regulated closely by the government, and to get money, you have to access the government money because it's in the Federal Reserve. So it's all tied together.
Okay.
Hey, we could be renegades and we could take off all those federal holidays.
We certainly could make that choice. Absolutely.
I have to ponder that one.
Well, maybe this is recording and people don't know it because we haven't said that this is a recording.
And we have our first appearance of the week by Sam Hunt. So there you go. He's going to now chew on me.
For those of you on the podcast, Sam Hunt is a cat, which if you follow Bob at all on any social media, he talks about Sam Hunt and the cat pretty regularly. So
Sam Hunt's going through a lot of business situations. For a cat, he's almost like Toonces. Remember Toonces on Saturday Night Live? The cat that could drive, and every time they would have an episode where they were driving somewhere, the cat would be at the steering wheel, and then it always ended the same. The cat drove him off a cliff and fiery crash at the bottom. Look it up. TOONSES. Very funny comedy.
Okay, I'll consider doing that.
Okay. I call them Toonces sometimes.
Are there fair labor laws for cats? Do you pay? Does he get a salary because you leverage him? You make him work?
He's going to be a deduction on my taxes for marketing.
Well, then can you write off the food that you provide for him?
I had a person in the world of accounting tell me absolutely. Has he provided me business opportunities through my use of him? And he has.
So now you're using your cat just to get business opportunities. Be careful. You might have someone coming after you.
Who? The SPCA?
SPCA, PETA, you never know.
I'm not torturing him.
How do you know?
I take still photos or video of him when he does funny things, and then I connect it to a business situation. They're all natural things. I don't prop him up. I don't give him catty downers or anything. Listen to me. I sound all sensitive.
Yeah, a little. Sounds like a judgment too. Just saying.
It does. It does. All right. I'm going to go back to my deep voice and proceed from there. So Tom, there it is. So Tom, on this Monday morning.
Yes.
What do you have to celebrate?
So I got a couple of things. I got to pick one. I'm going to celebrate that. What I'm going to celebrate. So I was sitting there before. I had a lacrosse game, women's lacrosse. I officiate girls and women's lacrosse. I had a college Division III women's lacrosse game this weekend. And as I was waiting for my partners to arrive, I got thinking about, we talk a lot about, and, we try to share this podcast for people who are leaders, consider themselves leaders. And as I was sitting there, I was thinking about, one of the challenges for potential leaders is how do you get those opportunities to show that you have leadership skills when you haven't ever had a leadership position before? And, it just got me thinking about that. Well, in reality, I was the head official for that game. And
there are three, so you kind of oversee situationally.
Yeah, I manage the situation.
Not everyone watches girls and women's lacrosse as avidly as you, and now it sounds like me.
Well, yes. Thank you for Um, and so I got thinking about, well, I have a team of officials that we're working together. And so I have to manage that and sort of, lead that effort. We have to deal with players and coaches. And so that's a lot of customer service and really sort of managing that process. And,
And the
there's,
fans, that's real customer service.
the nice thing about college,
You don't get a lot of fans.
well, we don't have to deal with the fans. Like if there's an issue with the fans, I go over to the table and the game administrator, because there's always a game administrator, they deal with that.
Okay.
You might have to listen to them a little bit, which is
Yeah.
just feedback. It's the nice thing about thinking about all that stuff is just feedback. Is it's lazy to just like, okay, great, thanks for your feedback. And so I just was thinking that there's a lot of other opportunities for people to have leadership roles, and that if you're trying to get into a leadership role, someone might ask the question, "Do you have any experience?" And I think a lot of us would be only thinking about the role they're trying to get, maybe the organization that they're with or they're trying to get into.
Or a
And
job where you were described as a leader.
yeah,
I
and
managed the ice cream shop.
right, whatever it is, I manage the marketing team, I manage and so I think we forget about all those other things that we have done that are really leadership roles. And even if someone just starts out as a lacrosse official, there's still some leadership involved in that. You're a part of it. And as you move forward in that or any other opportunity, you might be the first chair of the orchestra in your high school choir, or had been. And there is a leadership component to being the first chair in any of the instruments. And so I think there's lots of opportunities.
Do you have instruments typically in your choir?
Didn't I say orchestra?
No, you said choir.
I think I said orchestra.
No, you said choir. Because I was trying to figure out. I'll go back. I don't listen to everything perfectly. There are plenty of people out there that would tell you that. You said choir.
Okay. I
It's
meant
fine.
to say orchestra. And
It's
so I
fine.
think that, as you think about that, and then it was just something for me to think about the various opportunities we have to have a leadership role. And I think so often we don't necessarily see it as that role. And so when someone asks us for a job, like, have you had a leadership experience? I think especially newer people in the workforce miss and don't think about those necessarily as leadership roles.
Well, colleges have really shifted how they teach in that regard, so that, when I was teaching, every one of my students was a leader on a project. So if they'd have teams of 3 and each of the 3 would manage a project. And I'd say to them at the end of the semester, hey, you all have had leadership experience. And they wouldn't see it. I'm like, you
Sure.
led this project, you started it, you got the objective, you led your team to accomplish it, you accomplished that. Don't lose sight of that, because you will be asked at some job interview really soon, describe a situation where you played a leadership role.
Right.
They'd be like, no one's going to ask that. And sure enough, they come back from an interview and be like, how did you know that? So I think it's a real shift, and more high schools are doing that as well.
Sure.
Because they're recognizing, you shouldn't have your first leadership experience when you're 35.
Well, and I think that for most people, they have had a leadership experience before they're 35. They just haven't considered that a leadership position.
Right. Like I was a camp counselor all through junior high and high school. I leveraged that to every job for the first 5-10 years of my career. It'd be like, so describe when you were a leader. I'm like, I kept 12 young boys, first 12 to 14-year-olds, 10 to 12-year-olds, and then 8 to 10-year-olds in their cabin for 2 weeks and sleeping. And for the 8 to 10-year-olds, lots of crying boys because mommy and daddy were away for the first time. They'd be like, ooh, that's some serious leadership. Like, yep.
Yes.
That's all how you tell the story, right?
It definitely is. It definitely is. And what your perspective is around it.
Yes. And I think it's a great point. And I think the other thing I would say is, for organizations, providing opportunities for employees and interns to actually lead is a really good way to help them, help your organization, and also identify the people that can be leaders.
Sure.
So often companies have this gap in leadership. Where do I find the next leader? You got 8 employees. Did any of those ever rise up? Well, we didn't really give them an opportunity.
Yes.
Even if it's leading the holiday party or the annual picnic or the charity drive that you do every year, those are opportunities to really identify people that can be successful as leaders, because if they can do that, sometimes it's easier when you have the structure of a job and
Sure.
all the requirements.
Yes.
Sorry, got on my soapbox. I'm off it now.
It's okay. So we probably at this point ought to dive into our topic, guys. So all week we're going to be talking about pathway restarts and what it means. Do you want to take the first crack at it, Bob?
Yeah, I'm gonna blow the doors off the building real quick. You said that a restart was an opportunity to redo something, right?
I guess. I don't know.
In the opening, you said, sometimes we want to redo something.
Yes, I think it.
And I would disagree with that, because we're not redoing it. We're actually doing it with new information. We have new knowledge, experience, and perspective. So we're probably going to make some shifts. Over the last 6 months, I've tried many different ways to do my lighting. Each one that I've done has been affected by those before it. Oh, don't use I'm going to play with fire here. Don't use this color because it makes me look too red. Don't do this because it's too much light. All that each day. So I've added a new layer each day. So you might say, oh, I'm resetting my lighting, but I'm really not. And I think that's the misnomer of a restart is, oh, I'm just going to scrap everything and start all over. I don't know that that's even possible. I've got things in my life right now that I've restarted, many things last year for a variety of reasons. I don't think I restarted them because I know everything I know. I know I'm a different person than I was 10 years ago. I'm a different person than I was 20 minutes ago, because I heard what you said about leadership, and that led me to think about a couple of things with clients. You can't put that back in the box. So I think the idea of a restart is, we use that phrase, but it's really I don't know. I'm not sure I have the right word. And yes, I'm the one who chose restart. That was on me. I came up with that Saturday. I'm guilty. So yes, I'm biting my own hand. I fully recognize that. But I think it's an important point that I didn't realize until you said redo. What do you think about that? Because I think it's a lot of the meaning in that as well, right?
Yes. And that's why I think that restart is an interesting concept, because I think there's a couple of meanings to it, and it depends on how you define it. If you're still trying to reach the same destination, and this may be where there's a difference, you're likely not restarting. You're more likely course adjusting, staying the course, or pivoting. Because you still, to restart would be, we're going to start all over again and try to achieve the same destination. Which I would agree with your point, is that you're not really restarting because of the knowledge, experience, and perspective you've gained. I think I start to think about a restart as I'm choosing a new destination. Is that I have decided that this destination isn't what I currently desire based on the knowledge, experience, and perspective I've gained up to this point on the current destination. And I was trying to think about that distinction, because I was thinking about, it's not really a restart. If you're just trying to keep doing this, if you're trying to continue along the same pathway. And I think that if you're deciding to choose a new, not just pathway, you're choosing a new destination, that you might be able to consider it, and maybe it's not a restart, or maybe that it's that you have a new pathway you've created a brand new pathway that looks completely different, even though the destination might be the same. I still think that is, you're still gaining from that. Either way, whatever you're doing, you're gaining from the knowledge, experience and perspective that you have. I almost think that a pathway restart is now we're choosing a completely different destination.
Okay. So I think it's a good discussion, because I think often what we want to do and what we say in our heads is, I want to restart. This didn't work the way I expected. Like, you and I are doing some advertising, and we had 3 different sets of ads, and one set was performing far better than the other 2.
At the moment.
We'll use some of that feedback to decide what ads to use going forward. I think we learned a whole lot. But if we were to say, let's restart, we really aren't. And we did some advertising, for a couple months, and it didn't net the results that I think we both had hoped it would. And you said to me this morning, we've already done better with these new ads in one weekend than we did with those ads over 4 months. The information we obtained from those 4 months, we used in the creation of these new ads. We also got some outside help with it and those things. So yes, I think we restarted the ads and went back to the beginning with the ads, but we still have the same destination, right? So is that a restart? Because the goal of the ads is to generate more interest in the work we're doing.
I think you're still on the same destination. Our destination.
So we have course adjustment. We talked about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We have pivoting, which was last week. And this week we have restart.
And we have stay the course.
And stay the course. Okay. So which of those 4 was what I just described with our advertising in your mind? Because I'm really struggling with, I can see someone at home going, these guys don't know what the heck they're talking about, because they just, I want a list of what my 4 options are, and here they are. And I can't figure out which, if we've done our job well, someone should be able to go, that's a restart. That's a course adjustment. And I'm not there, honestly, because I thought about this over the weekend. I went back, I listened to a couple of episodes. I kind of spot checked the last 3 weeks. And I feel like we're still circling. We haven't gotten to the clarity that we usually get by the end of the week. And I think that may be endemic to the whole situation, that we're trying to create specific categories, and they're not really specific categories. They're kind of, you could be very close to pivoting, and or it could be a course adjustment, and you might think of it one way and I think of it the other way.
So let's take our example, and I'll try to provide some clarity to it.
Okay, that'd be great.
Our destination is to engage more people so they join our Ring of Renegades Facebook group. That's the destination. The way that we chose to try to do that, one of our pathways was through Facebook ads. So we laid a pathway. We said, okay, we're going to, for 4 months, run this set of ads and see what would the outcomes be of that. So we did that. And then at the end of December, which we had laid out already, I think when I first said it, we were going to go to December 31st or, whatever, December 29th, the end of the calendar year. And that would be our checkpoint. Is that, yes, we may check in on it and just see where it's at and understand a little bit about what's going on. And we measured that. We actually did a sort of smaller checkpoint every week when I would go in and do the numbers on it. And then our big checkpoint was at the end of the year. So we felt like that was a time frame by which we would have an understanding a little bit about it. And we weren't letting the emotion of an up week or a down week or whatever drive our decision making. So at that bigger checkpoint, we decided that we had gained some new information before then and made some other decisions in another pathway. And so we then re-looked at, and so I would say we made the decision we were going to continue to do Facebook ads. We didn't bail on that completely. We still felt like Facebook ads was our pathway to bringing more people into our Ring of Renegades Facebook group. Now, we had other pathways. We had the show, and we, had some other things, but this was one of our pathways chosen, was Facebook ads. And so I think what we did was we took in our new knowledge, experience, and perspective at this major checkpoint, or at this checkpoint, and made the decision we were going to continue. We were just going to make an adjustment in images and content.
Mm-hmm.
Those were our adjustments. So to me, that's a course adjustment. We stuck with the same method. We just had some slight adjustments to it. To me, pivoting would have been like, you know what? I'm not sure Facebook ads is the way to go. Let's still do ads, but we're going to do them on LinkedIn, or we're going to do them on Google. And that would have been a pivot.
Okay.
To stay the course would have been, okay, we're going to use these images, text, and we're just going to rerun them.
On Facebook.
On Facebook.
So doing the same thing for as long as however.
Correct.
Okay.
A restart would be that ads isn't necessarily the way to go. That we need to look at a different destination. Maybe a new pathway. Does that make sense? So I think it depends on how many.
I've logged a lot of time in my mind trying to get to that clarity, and you managed to nail it. So bravo to you.
I think one of the things is when we first laid this out, I've always tried to go back to all of the last 4 weeks of episodes.
Okay.
The course adjustment, pivoting, and now restarting is all a decision that we could make based on a checkpoint. We got to this point, and we now are going to say what went well, what didn't go as planned, and what might we do differently. And then we were able to then make this is what our next decision was. And I think it's just a way to give people who maybe get to that, like, because I think sometimes what happens is they're like, I have no idea what to do.
Right.
Because I'm either caught up in the emotions of my results. I didn't do a checkpoint. I'm like, find a shiny object. I'm going to jump all over the place. So this is like a conscious effort I chose a date to do a checkpoint or a value of numbers of times where I felt this was a time to check in. It was just in the moment as I was sitting there when I started this, said, I think, like we did with the ads, I think that December 31st is the time that I want to really check in on where we're at. And so then after December 31st, you can then make those decisions. You can then choose one of those. You can then choose one of those 4. And there's a lot of fine tuning with each of them. If you looked at it, there's some crossover. They blend a little bit into one another. And so I think that's the key, is that figuring out, taking the time to stop and consider what have we learned and how are we going to leverage that learning to go forward. And so, the more I talk through it, I think a pathway restart.
Is this your one thing?
Yeah, I think it will be.
Okay.
All right. So my pathway, what I think it means to have a pathway restart is we are still headed to the same destination. I'm gonna change a little bit what I said earlier.
Okay. See?
I'll think about that a little.
Well, see, this is what I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's like,
that's why to me this is the most challenging one. The other 3 like I feel pretty clear about. It's
Okay.
to me, the question becomes, are we still headed in the same destination? And I think a lot of it depends on how we define destination. And that goes back to what we talked about a little bit last week, is if you're not clear on your destination, it's really hard to understand, like, well, is this a restart? Is this pivot? What, I think that there are lots of destinations typically we have. So one of our destinations might be we want to get more people into the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. That might be the first part of it. The next part of the destination is how do some of them will want to have more.
Well, and there's a bigger destination that you and I both have a vision for, helping a lot of people with our message. That
Yes.
supersedes all that and is kind of the big umbrella under which all these things fall. And so I think that's part of the challenge here, right? To pick up what you were saying, we have to be clear about the destination, and it can't just be, I'm going to do Facebook ads on Monday, and if that doesn't work, Tuesday I'm going to start doing Google ads, and Wednesday I'm going to do LinkedIn ads, and Thursday I'm going to do Instagram, and Friday I'm going to do no ads at all. I'm going to do flyers and take them out to local businesses.
Yeah.
You could do all those things.
Correct.
But as so often you see with people, if you do all those things, you can't really assess and figure out what you're accomplishing. How many times have you heard someone at a networking event say, oh, I haven't been to a networking event in months, and this one fit my schedule, so I'm coming to this one, and I hope it's really successful.
Sure.
And they, their dream is that they're going to get 10 people to sign on the dotted line to work with them from this one event. They're not planning to come back to this event ever again. And in their perfect world, never network ever again, probably. Because you can just tell by the way they do it. Like, I really don't like networking. I don't like this. Or I really don't like doing my email to my list. Someone said that to me last week. It's like, the worst part of my week is sending them an email every week. And I said, okay, why do you choose to do that? Well, everyone says you have to. Like, okay. Who is the everyone? Now, the destination to me for all of these things I just described is finding more customers. That's the goal of all that. In fact, if you think about business, at the end of the day, it's finding more customers, generating more revenue.
For some, that could be the final destination. For others, that might not be the final destination. That might not be how they define success.
I didn't say defining success, but if you're not generating revenue and customers, you're probably not having a business.
Yes.
I just did my P&L from last year. Believe me, I know that more intimately than I would like to share.
That sounds like a real judgment based on results that can change over time. Here's the thing. I think that there are, when we look at our journey, there are a lot of destinations along the journey. And part of that is like, it's a process, right? Is like, and it'd be easier if I could draw this out. So one of the destinations.
You could do a nice Facebook Live in the Ring of Renegades Facebook group, Tom.
I may have to.
I'd let you use my whiteboard.
Thanks. I have to come to the bunker? You have to give me the address of the bunker to do that?
You could come to the bunker. You're always welcome at the bunker.
I know. Well, you have to give out the address.
To you, sure.
So I think that there is here's the journey. Try to do this. There is a destination. Let's say we want to get more people in the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. That's one destination.
Okay.
The next destination could be we think that there are people who, once they get in there, are going to want more of that. And the next step for that is becoming a client.
Okay.
Then, and this could be depending on how you look at it, then could be the next destination could be, which might be the end of the journey, is how do we provide value that others find benefit for to help them achieve their own unique pathway to success. Now, some people might flip-flop those and say, I'm going to add value, and then I'm you can decide how you want those to look. And so as you go through, you figure out how to get to the first destination. While you're trying to get to the first destination, you're likely going to have people who are going to jump off and go to the next destination.
Mhm.
Like, hey, you know what? This Ring of Renegades thing sounds great. This Facebook group sounds great. And I really want to dive in now as a client because I think it's going to help me get whatever their destination is earlier.
Okay.
So they might be going along the pathway and they go jump from, I'm going to jump over one, because that's my destination,
Mhm.
right? Is to get them here, then to get them here, and then to get them there. That's sort of what I think the pathway is. As I see it, they might see it different. They might see it as, and some may say, hey, you know what? I'm going and I'm in the Ring of Renegades and I see a lot. And for them, the next destination is wherever it's finding value. That they don't necessarily feel like they need to be a client to get the value that they're looking for. And so I think what makes it a little challenging is there's our destinations, and then there's the people we come into contact, their destinations. And the pathways are crisscrossing and sometimes aren't as linear, I think, as you tried to explain the other day, as we would like them to be.
Okay. I like that. Man, that was good.
Well, yeah.
You brought some clarity
It's
to that
real.
for me.
Well, hopefully there's some. I mean, it's not an easy, because I don't know that we think about it that way. And I think what's even makes it more challenging is we have so many destinations going on, and I think that's one of the challenges, right?
And that's what we really help a lot of people with when we're doing work with them. That seems to be where it starts. Hey, what are you really trying to accomplish? And I know when you did it with me 4 or 5 months ago, what I thought I wanted to accomplish wasn't what we ended up realizing I really wanted to accomplish. That
Wow.
shift, it wasn't that it wasn't radically different. It was just the clarity around, oh, so what you're saying is you want this thing. What are the things that might help you get to that thing? And they were not the things I was doing, because I was doing things that I thought were the things to get me to that place. But that really wasn't it, because I hadn't taken the time to break it down and say, this is where I want to go. And these are the steps that I know already to take. I want shiny objects. I want the easy way. I want the quick path. And I think, if you want to know what Tom and I do with people that we're coaching, it's really about that. It's about really being clear about the destination and then identifying the steps, not us identifying them, us asking questions that help you to identify them. I remember when Tom's like, well, wait a second, you told me this worked. If this is working, why is this not on your list of things to do? It's like, interesting. Wow. Maybe I should go back to that. And then this next part of it is really the accountability around, are you doing those things, and having that check-in point where you look. And I've found that once a month check-in point for me, really every month since we've done that, it's been 4 or 5 months now, I think, I've made some pretty big shifts at those checkpoints. And every single time it's been really valuable to wait until that point, so I have enough data and experience to say, okay, wow, this is doing exactly what I expected to do, or you know what, maybe not. I miscalculated here.
Well, that might be something for you to go back and look on and say, and it might help you find some clarity in this conversation, is at those checkpoints, what did I do? Did I stay the course? Did I course adjust? Or did I pivot?
I think I've done some course adjusting and pivoting.
Well, and I think to help
well,
you.
Actually, you know what? By the definition you threw down today, I think I might be in the process of restarting something.
I think it's.
And I think we're always doing that. I don't say that like, oh, I screwed up, I should have thought of this 6 months ago. I think this is a good process, because for me, I have much more confidence, and I'm building the systems around it. That, oh, okay, this is the goal. I want to get here. So I'm going to allocate 4 hours a week to do this thing.
Yeah.
No matter what, every week, this is on the list. So when you look at my map of the week, the calendar has 4 hours blocked out to do that thing, no matter what. And if I take a day off and I don't do that thing, the 2 hours that day that I was supposed to do it, I know that I didn't do those 2 hours. And it's like, okay, where can I scoot those 2 hours into another day? Or can I do it over the weekend? That's brought me a lot of confidence that I'm on a track towards my goals, because I can see the correlation. If I don't do the things that I said I was going to do, other things don't happen. Before, it was kind of like, well, these things aren't happening the way I thought they should.
Which is
because I wasn't consistently doing the things I need to do.
And you didn't prioritize them. You also didn't prioritize.
Right.
And I think that's a significant part of this is, hopefully that one comes before the other. You prioritize it, which provides you confidence, or you have the confidence to prioritize those things that you value rather than just letting whatever happens.
Right. Well, and what I think we've done in the last 3 or 4 minutes is explained how we help people. And what you did in helping me is what we try to bring to other people.
Yes.
Plain and simple. So I think I owe you a one thing.
Yes.
So I think my one thing is that a pathway restart, what it means is not to just throw everything out and start all over. It's more like maybe if I'm using a house example, it might be gutting the house, but keeping the frame, keeping the solid foundation, keeping the frame. But we're going to redo the first floor because we want it to be more open. So we're going to tear out a wall. And we want the top floor, instead of having an attic, we'd love to have a cathedral ceiling. So we're going to take the attic out and we're going to put some sunlights in the ceiling. But if you looked at that house from the road, it would still look the same when our project's done. If you came inside, you'd be like, wow, this is so open. Is this the same house I saw 3 years ago? Yeah, well, we did this, this, and this. How's that for a visual?
I'm working through it.
Okay. Well, we got 4 more days to hammer at it. So maybe the nail will hit the hammer, or the hammer will hit the nail.
Yeah, and of course, we would love to hear your thoughts about a restart. What do you think it means? What's your one thing for today? So please feel free to share that in the comments, because we know that it might provide some clarity, not only to you. I think writing it down does help that sometimes, and to someone else who might be looking for it, or maybe us, who knows? And of course, you can always come into our Ringer Renegades Facebook group, where we're having conversations around topics like this all the time. And you can share your thoughts and ideas and leverage the thoughts and ideas of others, because there's lots of value in there. So we look forward to seeing you inside the Ringer Renegades Facebook group. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.-ish Eastern time, for our next episode of today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you. If you have the day off today, please enjoy it. If you don't have the day off, don't be jealous. You'll get your days off. They come. In the end, it all works out.
Or they could just please enjoy it as well.
You could. I enjoy my work.
There you go.
There you go.
All right, everybody, go out and make it a great day. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.